We made it. It's the final day of the I-4 intervention, and here to wrap it all up, our EVT and incentive. We're going to tie everything together and draft a vision forward for us all. Remember, we're here for you today, tomorrow, and onwards. We are at the end of an incredible week. I cannot believe it's been 7 days of what I would consider complete awesomeness. And as those of you that have been following along, this isn't the live version. We had a technical snafu, so we got back together to record all of our takeaways so we can make sure that all of our messages have not been lost and we can keep this connection going. So we are going to start it off at the beginning with some self-care and yoga and talk our way through up to fierceness and coaching, and really hope that what resonated with us will also connect and resonate with you. So to get us off and started, Shanna, how about you fill us in on what yoga and self-care with Jen triggered for you?
Yeah, I'll start us off, and you guys won't even know the difference between the live version and the recorded version.
It's live for us.
What I got out of starting the day with yoga or kicking us off was just really learning about the foundations of self-care. Like, I think this was the theme of the entire year, like woven in between talks, but just knowing that like it starts with me, and that self-care and yoga and setting the tone for how I wanted the week to go was really valuable.
Yeah, that absolutely, for sure. I think it was a good way to start us off, to get it focused in and realizing that self-care isn't selfish, right? It's important.
It was intentionally started off that way.
Maybe.
I loved too. It was simple in the best way, and sometimes I need a reminder that simple can be so powerful. And just that the move she had us do, where we took our hand and slowly placed it on her head and pulled to the side, and the stress that kind of came off my shoulders and rolled down my neck as we did that was really lovely.
Yeah, and I would absolutely agree with both of what you guys said, and then add into it just the simple act of breathing. We take that for granted. It's an involuntary biological response. It has to happen. Yeah, but when you actually pay attention to it, what that does, it fills you up, and you can let go of some things. And given our jam-packed days in any industry that we're in, but particularly in the veterinary field, when you're in a crazy jam-packed ER or in the midst of anesthetic cases and just puppy appointment after kitten appointment after, oh my gosh, just literally taking that 10 to 30 seconds and breathing, you can do that. We can do that. I can actually find that time. Because otherwise, if you tell me I need to do like a 20-minute yoga session, I'm like, I gotta figure that out. But this is, if we can make it almost becoming an involuntary response, how powerful can that be? And that's what I really appreciated, how she brought the attention back to the breath. That was really fun for me. So
that's
awesome. Yeah, good things there. And then we shifted into imposter syndrome, and that all the feels, right? That hit me here, and then everything just went, whoa, and I think there's so many good parts of it, right? So if I can just go first a little bit and talk about how that I'm a human being and not a human doing. I know that, I've written that term how many times, but I get myself so focused on all the things I have to get done that I become a human doing, and forget that just by showing up, just by being there is enough. And to just, we get to write our own scripts, right? We're not everything that we think, and we're not alone. I was like, I could keep going. I think we could spend a whole wrap-up session just on imposter syndrome. But I think for me, the biggest one was, I'm just going to be a human being, and that's enough.
Yeah, it's so true. She talked about not having to prove yourself. So if you're evaluating something you're doing and it's making you uncomfortable and imposter syndrome's coming up, remind yourself that why you're doing it, and proving yourself should not be one of those reasons. And I think, even after many decades on this planet, that's something I still struggle with. Like you said, finding worth in the doing and not just in the being.
Yeah.
The highlight for me, because this was such a great talk. I mean, I think, Liz, we could name every single thing that, that Katie talked about that was super valuable. But one thing that really hit for me was just sharing her story of what really made her make a change and start even learning more about imposter syndrome and how it was affecting her. And it was her mentor that pointed it out, that like saw something in her that she couldn't see herself that made the difference. Yeah. And I think that we really all need that. We all need someone in our lives that can see us as our best selves when we're, you know, in our own stuff, and just like never forgetting who you are.
Yeah, you know, that made me think about it all over again. Thank you. Yeah, I had lost, in all of the talk, right? We lose that, and just, you know, having that ability to recognize that we all go through this. You know, I think you see all those people that they have everything, they've got it all together, but we don't know. We don't know what they're dealing with outside of work or wherever we see them. And it doesn't matter how famous or infamous we are, everyone's got some, you know, either inner dialogue or some demon or just something. And that was just what you said, right? To have someone see that in you and to point that out. And that was, wow. Yeah, right. We could keep going. You're not wrong. So I don't want to talk too much about the third day because that was our day. But it's important, you know, training, and we're clearly passionate about it since we couldn't fit it all into our time frame. I haven't gotten over that yet. But it's only been a week. It's fine. But really, it's something that I feel so deeply, is that we need to make sure that we focus on the process and not the individual, and that there is things that we all can do and bring to the equation, right? So that was what I was hoping a lot of folks took away from it, from my point of view. Is, you know, it's a process. You are an individual, and we're going to coach you through the training process.
I love the questions at the end. That was validating to me. And, you know, I talked in the training how impactful questions are for me, that it shows to me that you understand the subject matter enough to really dig into it. And so to get some questions was great, and to get some really powerful questions was even better.
Yeah, that really like even told me like people are thinking about this. Like training is something that happens so much in this industry. Like, you know, there's new people, or there's something new you're learning or uncovering. And so training is never going to go away. So like even your relationship with it matters. And so to have those questions, like you could tell that it resonated, like people are actually thinking about this. And the highlight for me, this was something you said, Liz. It was something like, you know, yeah, don't ever stop learning because life never stops teaching. Like I'll always keep that in mind. It's like whether you're in a formal training and doing like a CE, like the I4 event, or you're just living your life, you're learning all the time. And so it matters how you're taking in the information and like what you're doing with it. And that's why, you know, that's why you're so passionate about the training side of things and why you do what you do.
Yeah, thanks. That was a gift. You know, that quote is literally hanging next to my workstation. And then, you know, take into account my family. One of our sayings is it's another growth opportunity. And if you want to put another letter in there, you can. But it's, you know, how to spin that, right? If it's like, oh, I have to come in and learn something new, but what can you get out of it? You know, and if there's at least one thing you can take away that's beneficial, win for everybody. So thank you for sharing that, which brings us to midweek, right? Wholeness. I don't know anyone that can sit in either a live setting or even a virtual one with Quincy and Renee and not be like, I can do this, you know, like the energy that they both bring. You know, I feel like Renee has got that just steady and soothing, almost like inspirational portion of it. And Quincy's like, this is how it happened, and this is how it's working, and this is what we can do. And it just jives so well together. That life circle is like, oh yeah, look at that, my percentages are way off. So, and plus it was color coded, which makes me happy. So it really brought into deeper clarity, you know, a few things that I've been aware of but haven't focused on, and I really appreciated what they brought to that piece for us. Is like, you bring your whole self to everything that you do, so how can you make that work in every aspect of your life? I was like, oh, that's a different way of thinking about it. You know, like a relationship isn't really 50-50. It's 100-100. You bring your whole self. So then how can you allocate that so you don't fizzle? I'm like, oh, wow. Yeah, okay, I can do this.
Yeah, that was a really powerful day too. And for me, one of the things that hit home is kind of the life version of the dose makes the poison, and the idea that everything that's good for us, even water, in too much quantity, too high of quantity, can become a poison. And so Renee talked about, documenting how you're taking care of yourself and how your day's looking, and maybe you enjoy eating dinner by yourself and not having kids climbing over you for once. But maybe after 3 days of that, that's too much, and you need to get back to family and spend some time together.
Yeah, that was a highlight for me too, just even telling that story. And even the idea of just noticing, like, this worked for 3 days, and you know what, on the fourth day, this doesn't work anymore. So what am I going to do, rather than just like, not do anything? The idea that everything is a choice, and it all starts with like noticing what works and what doesn't work, so that you can kind of go with the ebbs and flows and the highs and lows of life, because life is just going to bring you what it brings you, and being able to like go with it is important to just your overall well-being.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that it's a practice too, right? Like everything that we do in veterinary medicine, it's called a practice for a reason, because there's always advances and changes. And I love that, the goods and the bads, right? Like that curve that he drew for us, and how to get from here to here, and embrace that, right? And experience deep gratitude, practice deep gratitude. What a simple concept, but so I didn't think of it before, that day. And to put that into words and how we can enact that, like you said, in all the other aspects, I think is going to be a real challenge for me, but one that I'm ready to take on for sure. Wow, that was good. Yeah. And then we moved into tech savviness, which clearly is not my wheelhouse. So I was really looking forward to Jenica. And I think she really hit on some key points, right? Of how we approach veterinary medicine as it's so hands-on, and it is, but there's a lot of what we do that can be done from either a remote setting or somewhat removed, so it frees up the other people that can be active. And then also, if you can't physically do stuff, high knee replacements, or backs that go out, or just whatever you may be dealing with, there's still a place for you in veterinary medicine. You're valued. You haven't lost your ability to do what you do as a nurse. You just can't do it physically. And I thought that was a really good point for that, is like you can still be an integral part of the practice. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, I loved that one too, that inclusiveness that comes with this technology. And even right now in the pandemic, all the immunocompromised folks, or those who are living with immunocompromised that can't be there in person. So just really improving the inclusivity of vet medicine by leveraging our technology, which we all know technology fails us sometimes. But I loved that communication, their passion of ours, was such an underlying theme to all of it, understanding how you communicate and making sure the right people have the right information at the right time.
Nice. Yeah.
I had no idea that her business wasn't purposefully started during the pandemic. Like that blew my mind, because we got all these questions for people figuring out communication to improve on their teams. And it just, when she said that this business wasn't supposed to be during the pandemic because it was needed anyway, I just thought, like, what a huge need there is. Like, there always was and will be, but like needed now, so that teams can like virtual communicate and like be as effective as they can, regardless where you are, whether you're in person or at home.
Yeah, oh, for sure. And that's definitely, I think we've seen a trend in that and how it's shifted, right? So there's never really a silver lining to any pandemic, because but honestly, that has brought it to the forefront, right? That this connectivity and communication has shifted, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. It, like you said, Caitlin, it's inclusive, it's adaptable, it's evolving, and there's so many different ways to make it work. Look, we did all of this on Teams. How else can we do it, right? You can text, you can do Google Chats and Hangouts and all these things, other platforms that I had never even heard of, So that diversity within the tech realm is there too, which was really eye-opening for me to learn about, for sure. And then we came to Friday, which is, I think, my favorite day of the week regardless, but I really liked this Friday. This Friday, this Fierce Friday was awesome. I mean, Shanna, you really, like, it was such a good note to end on, because you talked so eloquently about how it's possible to put your dreams and ideas into writing and then to act upon them. You know, that equation is, that's definitely right there in the forefront. I have like 2 pages of notes from this, and I could go back on them. Again, this is another day I could spend a week on. But that, you know, what was it? It was your insight plus your action is going to give you your results. And I know I jumped in because I got so excited with the, you know, plus the accountability, but it really, that's why it resonated so strongly with me. And, you know, I also really felt heard. You know, when you get stuck in a place, it's really hard to get out of there if you keep doing the same thing. And that change is not only constant, it's vital for our survival, and not just as a community, that's where it comes into play most prevalently, but for ourselves. And it's scary and it's uncomfortable, and that's okay. And I'm just really excited to put my equation into action and see how that works out, right? So trusting my intuitions. Okay, I'm going to listen to you.
Yes.
Well, the point you brought up, Liz, and it made me think of that definition of insanity that goes, if you do the same thing over and over again and expect a different result, then you're going to go insane. You are insane. And so talking about that, making changes, small changes, big changes, you know, purposeful changes in your life to achieve a new result was really powerful.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so glad. I think really the entire thing just comes back to being intentional. Like, especially we're such doers in veterinary medicine, on the floor, going on to the next thing. We're just so wrapped up. But like, sometimes you step back and you're like, you know, was this mindful? You know, why am I doing this? And so putting some intention behind the changes that you want, I think, can just make such a big difference.
Yeah, maybe the next conference needs to be I-5. You need that intention. Because really, you know, everything that we've talked about from day 1 till day 6 really had that theme throughout, right? It was the incentive to inspire, instruct, and impact. And it was intended, right? It was with the best of those. And so as we come to a close, and a real close, because here we are a couple days later to really think about it, I am so grateful for these 2 women that are sitting with me on the screen right now to bring this to fruition. And for everyone who was able to come live, and for those of you that haven't been able to, and you've been waiting for this video, like, come on! Thank you for setting your intentions to be a part of this with us. And we are not done. This was just the start. So we are really excited to keep this process moving onwards, upwards, together.